The phone slipped from Troy's hand, clattering onto the kitchen floor as his mother's words echoed in his ears. "Your father is coming over tonight. We need to talk as a family." At 22, Troy had just mustered the courage to come out to her that morning, his voice trembling as he confessed his love for another man, expecting support or at least understanding from the woman who'd raised him alone after their nightmare escape. Instead, she had dialed the number Troy thought was buried in the past, inviting back the monster who'd haunted his childhood dreams. Flashback to that rainy night in suburban Chicago when Troy was 9. The bruises on his arms were fresh, purple blooms from his father's latest rage over a spilled glass of milk. "You're weak, boy," his dad, Robert, had snarled, belt in hand, the alcohol on his breath thick as fog. Troy's mother, Elena, had finally snapped, bundling him into the car under cover of darkness, driving through the storm to her sister's house in Ohio. "We're free now," she'd whispered, tears mixing with rain on the windshield. Divorce papers followed. A restraining order sealed the deal, and Robert vanished from their lives, or so Troy believed. Years passed in a fragile peace. Elena worked double shifts as a nurse, scraping by in a modest apartment in Cleveland, while Troy buried his trauma in books and school. He excelled, earning a scholarship to NYU, where the city's pulse awakened something in him. In his sophomore year, he met Jamie at a campus LGBTQ+ mixer. Jamie, with his easy laugh and kind eyes, was everything Troy's father wasn't. Gentle, supportive, a graphic design major from a progressive family in Brooklyn. Their first date was coffee turned into a walk through Washington Square Park, hands brushing tentatively, hearts racing. "I've never felt this safe with anyone," Troy admitted weeks later, as they shared a kiss under the arch. But safety was an illusion. The past was a shadow lengthening behind him. Back in the present, Troy paced the living room, heart pounding. "Mom, why? After everything he did." Elena sat rigidly on the couch, her face a mask of resolve mixed with desperation. "Because you're lost, Troy. This phase you're in, it's not you. Your father can help straighten things out. He's changed. Sober now, going to church." Her words hit like punches, echoing the societal whispers Troy had fought to ignore. In a world where progress marched forward, pockets of prejudice lingered, especially in families like theirs, rooted in conservative Midwest values. Troy's coming out wasn't just personal. It challenged Elena's worldview, her dreams of a normal life for her son. The doorbell rang, sharp as a gunshot. Robert stood there, older, grayer, but the same piercing eyes that once terrified Troy. "Son," he said, voice gravelly, stepping inside without invitation. Jamie had warned Troy about this possibility. Families could fracture under pressure, but Troy had dismissed it. Now, as Robert shook his hand with a grip like iron, Troy felt the first crack in his resolve. Dinner was tense, small talk about jobs and whether masking the undercurrent of judgment. "So, your mom tells me you're confused," Robert finally said. Fork paused midair. Troy's stomach twisted. "I'm not confused. I'm gay." The word hung in the air, a declaration and a dare. Elena's eyes pleaded for peace, but Robert leaned forward. "That's not how I raised you." Troy shot back. "You didn't raise me. You beat me." The argument escalated, voices rising like a storm. Elena intervened. "We're doing this for your own good, Troy. Family sticks together." But as Robert quoted Bible verses about sin and redemption, Troy saw the betrayal clear as day. His mother's love, twisted by fear and denial, had summoned the devil back into their home. By night's end, Troy stormed out, calling Jamie from the street. "I can't stay here," he sobbed. Jamie's voice was steady. "Come to me. We'll figure it out." But the damage was done. Trust in his mother shattered, and the ghost of his father loomed larger than ever. The next days blurred into a haze of avoidance. Troy crashed at Jamie's tiny apartment, the two of them navigating the fallout. Jamie's family welcomed him with open arms. His parents, both teachers, had marched in pride parades since the 80s. "Your family now," Jamie's mom said, hugging Troy tight. It was a stark contrast to his own home, where Elena's calls went unanswered. Deep down, Troy wrestled with guilt. Was he abandoning her, just as she'd once saved him? The internal conflict gnawed at him, sleep evasive as memories resurfaced. Nights hiding under beds, the sting of leather, his mother's muffled sobs. Therapy sessions at school helped unpack it, but the wound reopened fresh. Meanwhile, Elena grappled with her choices. In her mind, reuniting with Robert was a desperate bid for stability. He'd reached out months ago, claiming reform, and in her loneliness, she'd entertained the idea. Troy's revelation tipped the scale. Societal whispers in her church group echoed doubts about lifestyles. She loved her son, but fear of eternal damnation warred with maternal instinct. "What if I'm wrong?" she confided to her sister over coffee. The sister, who'd sheltered them years ago, was blunt. "You're repeating history, Elena. Let him go." But pride and conviction held her back. Troy's first confrontation with Robert alone came unexpectedly. At a coffee shop near campus, Robert showed up unannounced. "Your mom worries," he said, sliding into the booth. Troy tensed, ready to bolt. "I don't need your help." Robert's face softened, or so it seemed. "I was wrong back then. The drinking, it made me a monster. But this path you're on, it's dangerous. Society won't accept it." Troy fired back, citing statistics on LGBTQ plus youth suicide rates, the toll of rejection. "Rejection like yours." The exchange was raw, exposing layers of pain. Robert admitted faults, but his concern masked homophobia, a product of his upbringing. As Troy left, he felt a twisted pity. His father, once a tyrant, now a relic clinging to outdated norms. Back with Jamie, romance provided solace amid chaos. They attended a rally for marriage equality, hands linked in defiance. "This is us," Jamie whispered, but doubt crept in. Could Troy build a future while his past pulled him under? A late-night talk revealed Jamie's own scars, bullied in high school for being out. "We choose our family," he said. Troy nodded, but the weight of blood ties pressed heavy. Elena's next move amplified the tension. She cut off Troy's tuition support, a silent ultimatum. "Come home, or fend for yourself." Panic set in. Scholarships covered most, but extras loomed. Jamie offered help, but Troy refused, pride stinging. The decision forced growth. Part-time jobs, budgeting, but resentment festered. "She's choosing him over me," Troy vented to friends. The group, a mix of queer allies, shared stories of similar betrayals, forging bonds in shared struggle. As weeks turned to months, the rift widened. Robert's influence on Elena grew. They attended family values seminars, where conversion therapy was subtly endorsed. Troy learned of it through a leaked email, horror mounting. "They're trying to fix me." The revelation sparked action. Troy filed for emancipation of sorts, seeking legal distance. But the emotional toll was steep. Sleepless nights, anxiety attacks. Jamie stood by, but strains showed. Arguments over Troy's withdrawal. "Don't shut me out," Jamie pleaded. Love tested, they navigated, emerging stronger but scarred. In quieter moments, Troy reflected on morality. Was forgiveness possible? His father's abuse stemmed from his own demons, war veteran PTSD untreated. Society's role loomed large, how norms perpetuated cycles of harm. The story wasn't black and white. Shades of gray challenged Troy's worldview. A pivotal call to Elena. "Why him?" Her voice cracked. "Because I failed you once. I won't again." Misguided love, a dagger in disguise. The campus buzzed with fall energy, leaves crunching underfoot as Troy hurried to class. But his mind was elsewhere, replaying the email he'd intercepted. Elena's plans for an intervention weekend with Robert and a counselor from their church. "This can't happen," he muttered, dialing Jamie. "They're plotting to brainwash me." Jamie's response was immediate. We fight back, legally if needed. Their bond, forged in vulnerability, now faced its first real trial. That night, curled on Jamie's futon, Troy shared buried memories. The night his father had locked him in a closet for acting soft. Elena's pleas falling on deaf ears. She saved me then. Why betray me now? Jamie's touch grounded him. Betrayal isn't always intentional. Fear drives people to dark places. Their relationship deepened amid the storm. Stolen moments in cafes, whispered dreams of a life together. But societal pressures intruded. Stares from passers-by, a homophobic slur shouted from a car. Ignore them, Jamie said. But Troy internalized it, fueling self-doubt. Was he worth the fight? The internal monologue raged. Strength from survival clashed with lingering victimhood. Elena's perspective shifted slowly. Attending those seminars, she heard stories of healed individuals, but doubts nagged. One speaker, a former gay man now married with kids, spoke of choice. Elena thought of Troy's childhood joy, unmarred by influences. But a quiet voice questioned, was love a sin? A late-night Google search led to PFLAG resources, stories of accepting parents. Conflict brewed, loyalty to Robert, rekindled in shared grief over lost years, warred with maternal love. What if I'm the monster now? She whispered to her empty room. Robert, meanwhile, pursued redemption aggressively. He volunteered at a veterans center, masking his agenda. A surprise visit to NYU caught Troy off guard in the library. We need to talk man to man. Troy's pulse raced, but he stayed, curiosity overriding fear. Robert confessed, the war broke me. I took it out on you. I'm sorry. Tears glistened, a vulnerability Troy never imagined. But when the conversation turned to Troy's lifestyle, the facade cracked. God has a plan. You can change. Troy stood, voice steady. I don't need to change. You do. The walk away felt empowering, but the encounter lingered, a seed of complicated empathy. Friends rallied around Troy. At a group dinner, stories flowed. One had been disowned, another reconciled after years. Family isn't blood, a trans friend said. Inspired, Troy organized a campus event on queer family dynamics, speaking publicly for the first time. Coming out isn't the end. It's the beginning of battles. Applause thundered, but vulnerability exposed him to trolls online, echoing societal bigotry. Jamie beamed with pride, but worry etched his face. Don't burn out. The turning point came with Elena's ultimatum escalating. She showed up at Jamie's apartment unannounced, Robert in tow. We need to discuss your future, she said, eyes avoiding Jamie. The scene erupted, accusations flew. You're poisoning him, Robert accused Jamie. Troy defended. He's my future. Jamie stood firm, recounting his own coming out. Elena wavered, seeing the love between them. But Robert's grip on her arm tightened, a subtle control Troy recognized from childhood. Mom, he's manipulating you. Tears streamed as Elena fled, Robert following. The door slam echoed the fracture. In the aftermath, Troy and Jamie faced a crossroads. Move in with me permanently, Jamie offered. Troy hesitated, torn by duty. She needs me. A therapy session unpacked it. Codependency chains you. Deciding to confront, Troy wrote a letter to Elena, detailing the pain, the love, the boundaries. Choose acceptance or absence. Mailing it felt like release, but anxiety mounted, waiting for response. Society's mirror reflected harshly. News of anti-LGBTQ bills in states fueled paranoia. At a protest, Troy and Jamie linked arms, chanting for rights. A counter-protester spat slurs, reminding Troy of his father's echoes. We're progress, Jamie reassured. But doubt persisted. Could love conquer ingrained hate? Elena's receipt of the letter shattered her denial. Reading Troy's words, memories flooded. protecting him as a child, vowing never to hurt him. Robert dismissed it as drama. But she saw the truth. A secret meeting with her sister. Break free again. Strength renewed. She confronted Robert. This isn't love. It's control. He raged, old patterns surfacing. But she stood firm, echoing her escape years ago. Leave or I call the cops. Door slammed, she was alone but free. Reaching out to Troy was tentative. A text. Can we talk? Alone. They met at a neutral park. Benches overlooking a lake. I was wrong, Elena admitted, voice breaking. Fear blinded me. Troy listened, anger mingling with relief. You brought him back. Why? Explanations poured. Loneliness, societal pressure, misguided faith. I thought I was saving you. Tears flowed as they hugged, a fragile mending. But trust rebuilt slowly. Boundaries set. Jamie watched from afar, supportive but cautious. Give her time. Their relationship tested, blossomed. A weekend getaway to the Catskills, hiking, stargazing, reaffirmed commitment. No matter what, us against the world. But shadows lingered. Robert's parting threat. This isn't over. As holidays approached, tensions simmered. Elena invited Troy home, sans Robert. Hesitant acceptance led to awkward dinner, conversations tiptoeing around wounds. Jamie joined, a buffer. Laughter emerged tentatively, stories shared without judgment. Yet, undercurrents of morality tugged. Elena's church friends whispered, testing her resolve. Troy's growth manifested in decisions. He switched majors to social work, driven to help others escape cycles. Pay it forward. Jamie's art flourished, designs inspired by their story. But a betrayal loomed. Elena slipped to a relative, outing Troy further, sparking family gossip. Confrontation, privacy matters. Apologies mended, but scars added layers. The narrative wove through ethical dilemmas. Forgiveness versus self-preservation. Troy pondered, pity Robert or cut ties eternally? Society's role, how media amplified voices, yet bigotry persisted. A viral post about his event brought support but hate mail too. Resilience built one step at a time. Winter blanketed New York in snow, mirroring the chill in Troy's heart as Elena's latest confession hit. I told Aunt Maria about you and Jamie. She promised discretion. But whispers spread like wildfire through the family grapevine, judgmental calls flooding in. How could you? Troy demanded over the phone. Elena's voice trembled. I needed advice. I'm trying. The slip-up, though unintentional, reopened wounds, highlighting the precariousness of trust. Jamie consoled. Progress isn't linear. But Troy's inner turmoil raged. How many betrayals could one endure? Robert, exiled but not defeated, plotted from afar. Sober yet unrepentant, he joined online forums railing against woke culture, channeling anger into anonymous posts targeting LGBTQ+ rights. One night, Troy stumbled upon a thread echoing his father's rhetoric. IP traced loosely to Chicago. Paranoia set in. Was he watching? A restraining order extension became priority, legal fees straining finances. This is the price, Troy told Jamie, who nodded grimly. Societal backlash amplified personal strife. A bill in Ohio restricting queer education made headlines, Elena's home state. She attended a town hall initially silent, but Troy's letter echoed in her mind. Standing, she spoke. My son is gay. These laws hurt families. Applause and boos mingled. Her first public stand. Calling Troy after, I'm fighting for you. Skepticism met hope. Actions over words. Love with Jamie provided anchor. Valentine's Day, a homemade dinner turned proposal-like commitment. Rings when legal everywhere, Jamie joked. But intimacy deepened emotionally, discussions on future, adoption, homes. Yet, Troy's trauma surfaced in nightmares, pulling away. Therapy duo sessions helped. Vulnerability is strength. They emerged closer, but the cost, emotional exhaustion. A family reunion loomed, Elena's sister's wedding. Invites extended cautiously. Troy debated. Attend and face judgment, or skip and widen rifts? Go, Jamie urged. Claim your space. Arrival in Ohio was tense. Relatives' stares, whispers. Robert, uninvited but lurking nearby, crashed the reception. Family event, he claimed. Chaos ensued, shouts, Elena barring him. Troy confronted. Leave us alone. Robert's retort. You're destroying her. Security escorted him, but the scene scarred. Guests divided. Post-wedding, Elena and Troy walked gardens. I divorced him again, in my heart. Revelations flowed. Robert's recent relapse, hidden. I was blind. Troy shared his pain, forging understanding. But moral quandaries persisted. Report Robert's threats? Mercy or justice? Campus life offered respite. Troy's social work internship at a queer youth shelter mirrored his youth. Counseling a teen escaping abuse, echoes of self. You survived. So can they. Empowerment surged, but burnout threatened. Jamie balanced with art therapy sessions together, drawing emotions. Betrayal struck anew when a cousin outed Troy on social media. Tagging hate groups. Trolls inundated, threats real. Police report filed, privacy shattered. Why us? Troy despaired. Jamie's resolve. Because we're visible. We fight. Media attention turned positive. A local news feature on resilience. But the toll, anxiety meds, therapy upped. Elena's growth accelerated. Joining PFLAG, she met parents like her. Stories healing. A letter to Troy. Proud of you. Reconciliation dinner in NYC, Jamie included. Laughter genuine, bonds mending. Yet, undercurrents, Elena's lingering faith conflicts. God loves all, she ventured. Troy challenged. Then why the judgment? Debate civil progress. Robert's downfall came swift. Arrested for DUI, old patterns resurfacing. Elena refused bail, a final cut. News reached Troy. Relief mixed with pity. He needs help, he admitted. Jamie questioned. After everything? Ethical debate. Compassion for abusers? As spring bloomed, Troy proposed a family therapy session. Elena agreed, neutral ground. Revelations raw, abuse cycles, generational trauma. Therapist guided. Break the chain. Tears, apologies, tentative forgiveness. But Troy set boundaries. Acceptance or distance. Love's test peaked when Jamie's job offer in LA arose. Come with. Troy torn. Roots in NYC. Family mending. Decision loomed. Sacrifice career for love or risk loss. We adapt, Jamie assured. Compromise. Long-distance trial. Societal winds buoyed. Supreme Court rulings affirming rights. But personal battles raged. A pride parade, Troy marching with Elena. Banner high. Cameras captured, viral moment. Hate countered love, but visibility empowered. Internal awakening. Troy authored an essay on family redemption. Published online. Responses flooded. Debates sparked. Is blood thicker than prejudice? Summer heat waves hit New York, mirroring the boiling tensions as Jamie's LA move approached. 6 months trial. They agreed, but doubt gnawed. Late-night calls planned. Visits scheduled. But distance loomed as a potential fracture. What if we drift? Troy voiced fears. Jamie's reassurance. Our foundation is solid. Yet, the decision weighed heavy, the price of ambition clashing with love. Elena's support surprised. Visiting NYC. She helped pack, conversations turning deep. I almost lost you twice. Reflections on her choices. Bringing Robert back. A regret etched deep. Fear of society blinded me. Troy probed. And now? Her answer. Society changes. Love shouldn't. A hug sealed evolving alliance. Robert's incarceration provided closure, or so it seemed. Letters arrived. Pleas for forgiveness. I've hit bottom. Troy debated response. Ignore or engage? Therapist advised. Your terms. A visit to prison guarded. Face-to-face, Robert broken. I was wrong about everything. Apologies flowed, but Troy held firm. Words aren't enough. Leaving, mixed emotions. Pity, anger, a sliver of hope. Moral dilemma. Redeemable or irredeemable? Campus activism intensified. Troy led workshops on intersectional trauma, LGBTQ+ and abuse survivors. Stories shared, community built. But backlash. A debate panel turned hostile. Opponents quoting traditional values. Troy countered with data, personal testimony. Victory sweet, but exhaustion real. Jamie, from LA via video, cheered, my hero. Betrayal resurfaced subtly. Elena's church friend leaked old emails, twisting context online. Troy targeted again, doxed. Panic. Address changed, security amped. Why can't they let us be? Confronting Elena. Your circle hurts us. She severed ties, a sacrifice. For you. Love's strain showed in arguments. Jamie's new life, friends, opportunities, sparked jealousy. You're thriving without me. Jamie denied. I miss you. A surprise visit mended, passion reignited. But the cost, emotional roller coaster. A pivotal choice. Troy applied for LA internships. Together, acceptance brought joy, but leaving NYC. Friends, therapy. Daunted. Family farewell dinner with Elena tearful. Go build your life. Arrival in LA, culture shock, but Jamie's arms home. New beginnings. Shared apartment, jobs aligned. Yet past shadows, nightmares recurred. Therapy continued remotely. Societal mirror. LA's progressive vibe contrasted Midwest roots. Pride events massive, acceptance norm. But news of regressions elsewhere reminded. Fight ongoing. Robert's release loomed. Elena informed. He's in rehab. Troy's decision. No contact. Protect my peace. Awakening deepened. Troy volunteered at LA shelters, impacting lives. Jamie's art gallery show featured pieces on their journey. Opening night, Elena flew in proud. Toasts to resilience. But tension peaked with a family secret revealed. Elena confessed. Robert wasn't just abusive. He struggled with his own identity. Shocked, Troy pieced. Repressed feelings fueling hate. Projection. Ethical twist. Empathy for the villain? Fall in LA brought crisp air. But storms brewed internally as Robert's release date neared. Letters persisted, evolving from pleas to reflections. I see now, my anger was self-hate. Troy shared with Jamie. Does this change anything? Debate ensued. Nature versus nurture, cycles of harm. He pays the price alone, Jamie said. Troy nodded, but seeds of doubt planted. Elena's visit coincided, bearing news. He's out, living quietly. Vigilance heightened. No contact breached. But a chance encounter at a Chicago airport en route to a conference. Robert there, coincidental or not. Troy. Tense exchange. Stay away. Robert's eyes. Regret? Troy fled. Heart racing. Report filed. Boundaries reinforced. Love with Jamie stabilized. Routines comforting. Date nights in Hollywood, dreams of marriage. But societal pressures, adoption debates, rights under threat, fueled advocacy. They joined campaigns, voices amplified. Betrayals echo. A former friend from NYU sold their story to a tabloid, twisting facts. Headlines. Abuse survivors gay awakening. Invasion raw. Lawsuit considered, but publicity double-edged. Use it, Jamie urged. Troy blogged response, turning pain to power. Moral conflicts climaxed in a family Zoom. Elena mediated. Hear him out. Troy refused. No. Elena respected. Growth evident. Personal toll. Anxiety peaked. Therapy intensive. Jamie's support unwavering, but his own burnout showed. We need balance. Weekend retreat. Reconnection. Vows renewed. Awakening. Troy's book outline on queer resilience took shape. Elena contributed forward. Her journey parallel. Societal win. Bill defeated. Celebrations. But personal loss, old friends distanced by drama. As winter settled in LA, stability emerged fragile but real. Robert faded into background. No further intrusions. Troy's book deal signed. Catharsis in writing. Launch event. Elena attended. Speech emotional. My son's strength taught me love. Jamie's proposal under holiday lights. Marry me. Yes, rings exchanged. Planning amid joy, but reflections on paths taken. Final confrontations resolved internally. Troy visited childhood home closure ritual. I survived. The story closed with mended bonds, scars honored. But questions lingered. In the face of betrayal, is forgiveness a strength or a weakness?